Do you need loads of discipline, loads of motivation to get great success in a business you're starting or learning Arabic, getting in shape, learning your deen, whatever it is? Do you need it? Well, I've coached hundreds of brothers on their business and their life, and I've written the book over there on how to be a top Muslim man. And I can tell you the truth. And although everyone says you need it, I'm not sure. In this video, we're going to explore, do you need motivation? Do you need discipline? How much of it you actually need, and a quicker and much more predictably. And then I'm going to show you how to implement that directly into your life. Let's get started. Bismillah. We're taught on social media and even people with an Islamic background that discipline is the key to success in anything that we want in this life and the next. On one hand, we've got David Goggins barking at us, and at the other, we've got the Sheikh telling us that Allah told us that we have to fight our desires with discipline. But I think discipline and motivation, it plays a much smaller role than you might think. Think of it like this: relying on discipline or motivation, it's like holding water in your hands. At the beginning, you can scoop some up and you're holding it and you're kind of managing with it, okay. But eventually, some will always leak out of your hands. It always finds a way for the water to get out. And if you hold it there long enough, then all of the water will pretty much leave your hands. What you really need instead of your hands to hold that water is a container, a system of habits, environments, and another special tool that will keep your productivity up no matter what, even when your hands are shaky, when your motivation and discipline are not quite there. Because we all know, we've probably heard this before, that consistency is more important than making massive progress all in one go. So if consistency is key, then we need a system to keep us consistent even when the discipline and motivation is not showing up. The problem with discipline is when we're trying to build it, how do you build it? What do I get up in the morning and what do I do to actually develop that discipline? There is no such thing. The way that people who are disciplined became disciplined is not through trying to be disciplined. They became disciplined through doing, through pushing themselves bit by bit to do things they didn't really want to do, but they had to do it, whether because of the environment, the situation they were in, or just they had the work ethic that day and the motivation. But they did things they didn't want to do enough times that they became disciplined. They became more able to do things that they weren't comfortable or didn't really want to do. So discipline doesn't come from you trying to become disciplined. It comes from you taking action and then taking action again and again and again. And eventually you're going to have a few days where you don't want to take action, but you take action anyway. And it's in those moments and those days that you develop more and more discipline. Not to mention, at the same time, you're taking action, you're making progress on your life goals. Also, discipline or willpower, it has a lot of limits. For example, when you set a high standard for yourself, like I'm going to go to the gym every single day. Once you break that one day, it's kind of easier to break it the second day and then the third day. And then before you know it, you say to yourself, well, you know, if I went to the gym once a week, it's kind of good enough, it's okay. And you kind of cope with those lower standards because you force yourself into these big disciplined willpower goals, which weren't necessary in the first place. Now, here's the special tool that will change all of this and make you not need to rely on any discipline, any motivation, just a little starter drop of motivation, and then the rest will take off with this tool. So there's something very interesting about men, and Muslim men particularly, because we're still men of honor, people who like to have dignity for themselves, and that's a good thing. And that connects us strongly to the whole man of your word thing. We like to be seen as men who will do what we say we're going to do. Think about a time where you did something that you didn't feel like doing, something that was tough or you didn't want to do it, but you did it anyway. Why did you do it? Did you do it because you had a lot of discipline at that time? You were really motivated? Maybe. But a lot of the times you'll find that you did it to uphold your reputation, to be the man that you see yourself as internally. You did it because of pressure of somebody next to you. For example, it's Ramadan, the last 10 nights, and you decide to go to the night prayer. It's 3 a.m., you've been standing there for an hour praying, and your ankles are kind of aching, your feet are aching, and you kind of want to go home now. You did pray, you're okay. But when you do the taslim of those 2 rak'ah, you look around you and you see there's people much younger than you, people much older than you, and you got your friends with you, and you're like, well, if they're doing it, why am I going to leave? Why am I going to be the one to leave? I can do it too. And then you stay because of that. And you're not doing this to show off or for them to notice. You do it to stay aligned with your internal self. You want to tell yourself that you're somebody who can do it, who is tough. And you look around at people and you feel like, yes, I can do it because they can do it. And so you stay because of that, not to show off. Or another example, you're in the gym and you're there with a friend and you're pushing the weight. You've got a friend with you spotting you and you're on the bench press pushing and pushing. You've got 8 reps to do. At 6 reps, you really feel you've got nothing left in you. You start to think, you know what, maybe I'll just stop there because of injury, or maybe I'll stop there so I can do better on the next set. Whatever it is, for whatever reason, because your friend's there with you, because there are other people around you, you push for that extra rep. And then that 8th rep comes in and you push yourself and you're able to do it. Why is that? It's because your friend was there, your friend was spotting you and you wanted to do better. Again, not for him, it's for yourself. But there's an extra layer of accountability that comes in when there's someone there in front of you. And that goes for life in general. Isn't a spotter, having someone there with you, spotting you in the gym, isn't that often the difference between 6 and 8 reps? Having somebody there encouraging you, praising you, pushing you, competing with you, for you to do what you set out to do yourself. Not something that you didn't have as a goal, something you did have as a goal, but you were gonna let yourself down and they held you accountable to your own goals. If you've ever felt that, if you've ever pushed yourself further because of having certain people around you, then you've known the power of not motivation, not discipline, but accountability. And I can share this with you because this was me. You know, I was raised in a pretty traditional household and my dad really encouraged me to have strong work ethic, my mom as well. So I was able to push myself. I had decent work ethic and I relied on that a lot of my life, you know, discipline, motivation, etc. But I ended up in a position around 25 with not much money to my name, no career, no full-time job, just a lot of educational degrees, no business, which I was really dreaming of. And especially I wanted to get married. I was not married. So I was relying on my good work ethic, which I think I did have decent work ethic, but I wasn't quite where I wanted to be whatsoever. But this all changed when I started working on a new business with 2 business partners. So there were 3 of us, and these people I'd worked with on a small project before, and we thought we were aligned on our values and stuff. And we linked up to start this business. And this is where everything changed. I stopped relying just on my work ethic. Yes, my work ethic, my discipline, it did help me. But what made the biggest difference is that now I had 2 people holding me accountable. And they weren't just anybody. They were people who were about 8 years older than me. They were more experienced than me. And they were able to make me feel that pressure and that want to perform. And again, I was doing it partially, yes, because I owed the work to them because we were partners. If I fail, they fail. But the biggest thing is that I want to be able to stand in front of them every week when we have our meetings and say, yes, I said I would do XYZ task and I did it. Of course I did it. That's who I am. And we would have meetings like that every single week where we would list off the tasks and whoever was tagged on that kind of card in Trello, they would have to say done or not done. When it was not done, what do most people do? They start explaining, oh, you know, this happened and that happened. But we had a rule in our meeting. You are not allowed to say the reason or the excuse. We can discuss that later. But in this part of the meeting, it was simply done or not done and nothing in between. This changed my levels of work ethic, it changed my levels of productivity, and we started to make real money in business. And that was the business that helped me take off in life, let me get married, let me move to Turkey where I'm living today and build a whole household here, alhamdulillah. So the question is, how do you implement accountability into your life? Even if you have some discipline, you have some motivation, which of course goes up and down, but how do you get accountability so that you're consistent? The first thing you've got to do is have a very clear goal, nothing vague. When it's vague, you can create loopholes. For example, get in shape. If somebody's holding you accountable to getting in shape, well, you can always argue that, well, I had 1 less chocolate bar last week, therefore I'm getting in better shape. But when things are specific, when things are measurable, and they ask you, it's black and white. You're a man of your word or you're not. The next thing is you have to choose the right person to hold you accountable. You know, I've tried it before where a friend of mine was holding me accountable and it didn't really work. We're just too casual. We don't push each other. We don't have a relationship where we're serious and formal enough to push each other and expect higher things of each other. Now, I'm not saying that's the best type of friendship to have, but that's what a lot of our friendships are like, very casual. So we're looking for somebody that we look up to a little bit ideally, somebody that we don't know too well, and somebody who maybe they're a little bit ahead of life in us, or they're just older or something like that. But especially they know how to coach us. They know how to hold us accountable. They've got that right balance between pressuring you and encouraging and helping you. The best case scenario is they have a proven accountability system that they operate by, and they're going to help you create a plan and stick to that plan and really make everything specific and measurable. And that's the best way that this works. Now, what you want to do once you've found your accountability partner or coach is you want to have weekly meetings with them. Daily is actually even better, but that might be overwhelming. But in some companies, they do what's called a daily stand-up. This is a short meeting at the beginning of every day where people talk about what they did yesterday and what they're planning on doing today. But for us, we're going to do a weekly meeting where it could be face-to-face, which is the best case scenario, or it could be virtually on Zoom, Google Meet, etc. But you must put your camera on. You must have to look at that person and say, yes, I did it, or no, I failed myself. Right? So they have to have cameras. That's the key here. And all you're going to do on this call is you're going to review last week's tasks. So you're going to say done or not done for each one of them. And you're aiming for at least 80% of your tasks done, if not 100%. Then anything that you've not done, you have to discuss it. You have to work out why you didn't do it, what got in the way, and your coach should help you work out what you can do next week so that you get 100% of your tasks done. And then finally, you verbally commit to what you're going to do next week. And you say, yes, I will do that. I will commit that to next week. And then you have the same meeting the next week. Simple as that. This meeting should last 20 to 30 minutes, no more than that. And it really makes the biggest difference. And this is the system that Ahmed used to make his first sale. After he was procrastinating over starting a business, and he had big dreams for a coaching business that he could operate online, maybe move to the Arab world, get married to a good wife over there. And he was just delaying on doing it for whatever reason. He had a lot of mental barriers and a lack of consistency. But with accountability, he took consistent action. He started putting out content every week, and he started pushing for the sale even when he wasn't that comfortable. And that's the power of accountability. He did so many things, mashallah, when he wasn't comfortable doing them. And that is when he got his first sale of $450. Now, his future clients are going to pay him over $1,000. But as a first breaking the ice for your first sale, this is amazing. And once that happened, he got very excited, and it gave him that motivation to keep going further and further with the business. So that is the power of one tool called accountability. Now, here's the thing. If you're trying to implement accountability into your life, but you're mentally obese, then you're not going to go very far. So watch this video on screen right now and watch that video where I explain the concept of mental obesity, because I'm afraid you probably have it, even if you're not physically fat. Go watch it now.